Okay, so let's start with pattern. So this is our first principle of design. So pattern is referred to as an orderly repetition of an object. It's quite similar to rhythm. We can see patterns all around us actually. I think all of you has an idea what pattern is. So you can see here in this example, okay, that the artists find something they like in elements, no? For this particular um, example, it's the line, ba? And then they repeated it over and over in their artwork. Here is another example, no? So you can see here that the artist like this particular curve, and then he or she repeated it over and over. Sometimes they don't come exactly the same, no, but you can obviously see the pattern. No? Sometimes artists use this pattern within a shape, as you can see here in this example, this one. No? So within the shape of a woman are patterns. Na, ano yung mga patterns ang gigamit sa artists. Okay? Okay. Another one is contrasts. Now, contrast is a juxtaposition that emphasizes a difference. Now, this can be done often using color. This one, so as you can see in the example, no? So, in order to accentuate the difference, the artist uses different color scheme on the umbrella and even on the face of the girl. No? So you can use color, to contrast between two objects, and then you can also use other type of things. Here we have lemon against fabrics, so contrasting between lemon and the fabrics. No, the author, I mean, no author mentioned, the artists decided to use color also. No, we could also use size to accentuate a difference. So here, so the artist uses particular sizes in order to accentuate the difference among the objects in the composition. And then you can also use texture. So from this given example, you can actually identify which is the paint and which is the background because of the texture. So the difference is accentuated again by texture, and even on the types of lines used as given here in this example. So we can see that the artist uses thin line, thick line, no, for some time. So yeah, there is a combination now, and then of course to accentuate the difference of the flower against the background, he uses the fake lines against the background, which is a combination of thin and thick lines. Okay, so that's how artists uses contrast. There are also other way, there are other way that you can use contrast in order to accentuate the difference of a particular object that you're going to be using as your main object against any background or any other ingredients present in the composition. Now, it's all actually depends on the artist and how he or she is going to arrange, use contrast in order to accentuate or highlight the most important objects in a particular artwork. Okay? Okay, so moving on, we have another here which is balance. So balance is a distribution of equal visual weight. But what is important to note with balance is that it doesn't have to be a mirrored image. So when we say balance, meaning to say the composition of the artwork has equal visual weight. Now, this means that the visual weight of each element is distributed in a way that makes the composition feel stable. You can actually think of your artwork as an actual scale. Kailangan mag-scale, no? In which you can put in your ingredients in an equal weight to maintain the balance. But again, what is important to note in balance is it doesn't have to be a mirrored image. Means when we say mirrored image, as in super identical, like kanang parehas gayud kaayo, it doesn't have to be. So as long as the important thing in balance is you achieve the feel of stability and balance. Okay? Now let's talk about the different types of balance used in most artworks. Although there are instances now that artists tend to do some symmetrical, and that is our first example of balance, this symmetrical balance. Unsa lang symmetrical balance? When we say symmetrical balance, from the word itself, symmetry, meaning to say they are identical. No? So when we say symmetrical artworks, are those artworks that have mirrored or identical objects, as shown here in this example. Look at this. So, hindi man niya mo gawas. Alara. Okay, so in this example, you can see that this image is symmetrical balance. Symmetrically balanced image, wherein if you fold the paper, if you're going to fold the paper here in half, no, you have the same thing on each side. So, di ba? Pareha sila kadako sa kanang swan, and this one also. So pareha sila, they have the same thing on its side. Now this means that the artwork could be divided in half and both sides would look the same, symmetrical, mirrored, even. Okay, so that is the first type of balance that most artists use, in their artworks. Symmetrical balance. Okay, and then of course another, if there is symmetrical balance, there are also artists who use asymmetrical balance, meaning not in symmetry. Okay, it's the other way around. Now this is a type of balance in which the two sides of the artwork are different. O di pa the examples ako symmetrical. So this is an example of symmetrical balance gapon, no? Because if you're going to fold this or cut the paper in half, you have the same thing on its side. Okay? So again, going back to asymmetrical, meaning not in symmetry. Now, this type of balance in which the two sides of the artwork are different. Now, but still achieve the feel of stability and balance. Meaning to say, these artworks, in these artworks, the objects are weighted evenly in different way, like quantity, the size, against each other. So we have an example here. Okay, kani. So, as you can see, they were the objects are weighted differently, but even at the same time. Di ba sila parehas kay gagmay ang kani dako ni siya, but they are even in such a way. Now, this is what we call asymmetrical balance. Although they have different size, still achieve the feeling of balance. Now, you can even use colors. Now, sometimes artists use colors in order to achieve the feel of balance as shown here in this example. So we have a different colored cakes. One is brighter, the one is toned down, as you can see. But still, this feeling has a particular balance in it.
It's 2:30.
So, mo na siya ang gitawag na tong balance, how the artist used the principles of design balance in order to come up with art forms that gives off a feeling of stability and balance. Okay? So, mo na siya. Okay, let's proceed to repetition this time. So, repetition sets up a feeling of rhythm. Now, by repeating the same shapes, texture, color, stroke, and etc. in an artwork. As you can see here in the given image, here, there is something that about a picture that is repeated oftentimes. Is it the style, no? Kani, kung giunsa si Japag, the style of the square. So it is repeated, no? To create this principle of design, which is repetition, and of course to create an overall impact, na overall drama on the artworks. But it doesn't necessarily have to be just the object. No? Artists can also play with the way they put the object on the page. No? So as you can see here, this is what we call the repetition. No? It doesn't have to be necessarily kanang identical jud pod. So as long as there is, there is repetition of particular object, line, shape, or color. Now, that will give you the sense of repetition. And of course, a particular whole artwork made out of repetition. So we have a lot of example here. This one is also a repetition of line and a repetition of object as well as colors. And then this one is the object, the repetition of objects. This one also, and this one. Okay? So it is quite similar to pattern. Okay? And then we have emphasis. So when we say emphasis, it is an accentuation of importance. So ang ganina, if we accentuate the difference, now this one, it accentuates the importance of an object. So it's the part of the artwork that the eyes are drawn first. Kaning emphasis. Now, most often artists uses color, like in this given example, to accentuate the importance. So meaning to say, this is the most important object in the art form. So that's why the artist uses color, to accentuate its importance. And then we also have color. May color ka ng shape. So this one. So the artist uses color and shape to accentuate importance, no? And then we also have size to accentuate the importance. And then we have the placement, no? How a particular object is placed within the composition to achieve emphasis. And then we have another here. It's still placement, how the object is placed, that which accentuates its importance. Now, these are some of the common things that artist uses for emphasis. So do not be confused it with kadung. It emphasizes the difference. Although the concept is particularly similar, of course, how the artist delivers the message. We'll now talk about whether it's emphasis or kadung, whether it talks about accentuating the importance or accentuating the difference. It's all about how the artists play now with these principles of designs, no? Upon or with the use of this emphasis or kadtuhang accentuating the difference in order to push through the message that they are trying to put across on the viewer. Okay? Okay.